Down at the doctor's, things aren't much better. The drugs world transforms everything. Surgeries are under siege.
We've had a lad flinging bottles of urine at the doctor because he realised that the urine sample was going to contradict his story of his recent use of drugs. Verbal abuse, threatening gestures. We've had patients in the waiting room being hassled by the lads beside them to hand over their prescription once they'd got it.
Right there in your surgery, before they've even left the building?
Yes.
The street use of prescription drugs turns the GP's world inside out. The Temazepam prescriptions they can legally write out are hard currency in the drugs economy. Patients become potential adversaries. Some pensioners sell their Temazepam prescriptions for ready cash.
We generally agree with patients. We need to. We are open and helpful and agreeable people most of the time. And it's a very poisonous thing to have to start suspecting that some of the patients that come to you apparently in need of your help are actually conning you for a prescription.
Among these healthy people, Andy, a past master at getting Temazepam. Andy, Harry and some of their friends pounding the streets are part of a drug support group called Renfrew United, leaving their dependency behind. But Andy once went on a grand tour conning GPs out of drugs.
I used to go to doctor's surgeries. I would say I take panic attacks and I suffer from a heart murmur and I'm running out of my medication, I need to see a doctor. They go, oh, we'll squeeze you in an emergency appointment. So automatically I had the receptionist's sympathy. So once you get their sympathy, you know that you've got a door opening for you. So then I would go and see the doctor and I would hobble in my walking sticks or my crutches. And I would sit in doctor and I would tell him all this bullshit story about me having sciatica, arthritis and different things. And he'd go, oh, what? I used the name Mr. Gordon or whatever. And he goes, what medication are you taking? And I'd go, oh, I can't really pronounce them, acting stupid. That's the things I take there, doctor. He goes, oh, that's no problem. There you go. Come back and see me in a month. So it started from there, and I ended up doing about between 240 to 250 doctors all over Scotland and some in England.
But there's no way that the street demand for Temazepam could be satisfied just by ripping off local chemists and doctors. The really serious supplies of Temazepam now reaching the streets come from breaking into the legitimate pharmaceutical chain right at its source, with huge fraudulent orders placed direct with Temazepam wholesalers. The police call this diversion. You don't need complex, risky international smuggling networks in this business. Forget Thailand and South America. This warehouse is in Eastbourne. And following a series of police investigations, the National Criminal Intelligence Service confirmed the pattern of white-collar crime which is driving the secret Temazepam supply routes.
We've discovered that drugs have been diverted. These are unscrupulous people who decide that they will sell drugs on the illicit market, and they, by means of fraudulent paperwork, approach wholesalers, pharmaceutical wholesalers or companies, allegedly purporting to export vast quantities of Temazepam capsules abroad. In effect, they obtain them by fraud and they don't get exported. They end up on the streets of any city, north of England or Scotland, Glasgow, wherever you like. The price for them to purchase them from the pharmaceutical agent is roughly in the region of 3 pence. And again, selling them on the street at £3 each is a vast profit margin.
It's basically like a chain of events in business. You'll have a retailer, an outlet, a cash and carry, shop corner dealers, and it basically works that way down the line from the big professional person who has loads and loads, millions of Temazepam. He will sell it to somebody who he can trust, who will give it to other people and send them out into the community and try and procure somebody else to be used for selling Temazepam, preferably somebody else who is a Temazepam addict.
But however nicely this elaborate distribution system appears to mirror the ordinary world, it's policed by different methods altogether. If a bill isn't paid on time, or a business deal isn't completed, there's no recourse to civil law, but contracts are strictly enforced. Street law rules.
A bank would normally repossess your car or your house. Round about here they maybe repossess the side of your face with a razor. Kneecaps will get broken with baseball bats, or the tendency that it seems to be in Paisley for some reason these days is you'd be stabbed or shot. It depends on the amount of money.
And now, in a world where commercial relationships are enforced by violence, there's been a serious outbreak of competition. New firms have tried to muscle in and grow with the growing demand for Temazepam.
The drugs economy seems to be extremely territorial. It's divided up into who supplies in a particular area. And you would just not move into someone else's area. Or that's when things start to happen. You have, you have had in Paisley what appears to be a drugs war on your hands with two opposing gangs slogging it out.
And the hospital is picking up the pieces. This man was attacked with a machete.
You move all your fingers, you squeeze my fingers as hard as you can. And it all working, you know.
Try again, because that one was good.
Right. Hard as you can. No? Right, that one?
Any feeling, can
right, okay.
I can move it,
yeah.
Any feeling.
So it's an axe, you think, yeah?
What?
An axe?
A big chopper, the biggest one I've ever seen.
What about your face and your head?
Night after night, casualties spill into the accident and emergency department as the war continues on the streets for control of the drugs market.
Nothing here.
Have the police spoken to you? Have they come?
Who?
The police.
No.
Do you want them?
No.
You don't want the police?
No.
Why not?
Because the scheme I come for, we don't associate with them.
You don't associate
We
with
don't get on with them.
them? You don't get on with them? A new class of patient is visiting the hospital, the drugs warriors.
These are different people. They're living within a culture of violence. There is some sort of vendetta or warfare going on where they're attacked. The job isn't perhaps done as well as the assailant would have hoped, and then they come back a few weeks later and try and do a better job, and they end up in my hands.
Now let's have a look at this face of yours. Right.
A bad one there.
That'll need quite a few wee stitches, I think.
An NHS accident and emergency unit has become a field hospital for the Temazepam wars. The police provide close escort for some of the walking wounded as they attempt to control the battle being fought on the streets. And meanwhile, ordinary patients sit and wait, sometimes for hours. Their treatment's often less urgent than the task of mopping up the mayhem of the drugs world. And all around, silence. Not the respectful silence for the sick, but a wall of silence facing the police and the medical staff from the soldiers of the drugs war.
There's a harder group of people, a group of people who don't tell us all the story of what's going on in the background. A group of people who've often got injuries which, when we go back into their story, they've had a similar injury 4 weeks before. And these are remarkably stoical, quietly aggressive men that we are getting in.